May 1945. Victory celebration, Moscow. While crowds celebrated Germany's surrender, Dr. Yevgeny Markov stood in his hospital basement, surrounded by empty American medical supply crates stacked floor to ceiling. 4 years of Lend-Lease deliveries. He had kept meticulous records, a personal journal documenting every American crate, every life saved. The numbers were staggering. From his hospital alone, using American supplies, 47,000 soldiers had been treated who would have otherwise died. Penicillin from Brooklyn factories, plasma from American blood banks, morphine from Philadelphia, surgical steel from Pittsburgh. He had performed 12,000 surgeries with American instruments that never dulled, never broke. Soviet scalpels needed sharpening after 3 operations. American ones stayed sharp for 50. That night, he wrote in his journal what he could never say publicly in Stalin's USSR. We celebrate Soviet victory. We praise Stalin's leadership. We honor Red Army courage. But in this basement, I know the truth. Without American medicine, we would have lost twice as many soldiers, perhaps 3 times. The margin between victory and defeat was measured not in tanks and planes alone, but in penicillin vials and plasma bottles. Americans didn't just help us win, they helped us survive winning. His journal remained hidden until 1991, when his daughter published it. The title, The Arsenal of Mercy. Dr. Markov was 52 years old, an experienced surgeon. He had been working in military medicine since the 1918 Civil War. Stalingrad, Kursk, Warsaw, now Berlin. For 27 years, he had seen wounded soldiers. And for 27 years, he had lived with the pain of being unable to save most of them. But in autumn 1943, everything changed. And the change came from an American crate. When the first crate arrived, Markov didn't know what he was encountering. The wooden crate was stamped with American markings. Medical supplies, handle with care, Lend-Lease USSR. He opened the crate. At first, he couldn't accept what he saw. First layer, penicillin vials, 500 units. Small glass bottles containing light yellow powder. Label in English, Penicillin-G, Pfizer Inc, Brooklyn, New York, USA. Dosage 100,000 units for bacterial infections. Markov's hands trembled. Penicillin. He had read about the miracle drug. British discovery, 1928. Alexander Fleming. Fungal derivative that killed bacterial infections. But production was impossible. Complex, expensive, slow. In the entire Soviet Union, perhaps 200 vials existed, reserved for Kremlin officials, top generals. And now, in this single crate, 500 vials, more than all hospitals in Moscow combined. Second layer, surgical instruments, stainless steel, precision machined, still gleaming in protective oil, scalpels, forceps, clamps, scissors, each one perfectly balanced, perfectly sharp. Soviet surgical instruments were plain steel, rusted, dulled. These were works of art. Third layer, blood plasma bottles, 2,000 units, each one capable of saving a life from shock. Soviet blood banks didn't exist. Doctors performed direct transfusions, donor to patient. Often, incompatibility was fatal. Plasma, universal, suitable for everyone. Fourth layer, morphine syrettes, 5,000 doses, small single-use injectors, needle already attached, just press, inject. Soviet morphine stock was 10% of need. Most wounded soldiers died in pain. Now 5,000 painless deaths, or painless recoveries. Most shocking item. Instructions printed in Russian. Americans had anticipated every Soviet medical need. Dosage, application, side effects, storage conditions, in Russian. Perfect translation. Dr. Markov sat heavily on the crate. For 3 years, he had performed amputations without anesthesia, surgeries without antibiotics, transfusions without plasma. And now, opening this box, he understood. America wasn't just sending weapons, they were sending the capacity for mercy. Private Ivan Volkov woke from surgery expecting to die. For 3 days, his shrapnel wounds had festered. Soviet military doctrine was clear. Infected wounds received amputation if antibiotics unavailable, which was always. The surgeon had promised to save his leg, but Volkov knew it was impossible. No medicine existed that could stop gangrene once it started. When he woke, his leg was still attached. The surgeon stood beside him, holding a small glass vial with English text. Penicillin-G, Pfizer Inc., Brooklyn, NY, USA. American medicine, the doctor explained. Arrived yesterday. You are the first in this hospital to receive it. 3 days later, Volkov walked. 1 week later, he returned to his unit. He would survive the war, return home, raise 4 children. In 1985, at age 67, he wrote to the Pfizer Corporation, "Dear Sir, Madam, my name is Ivan Volkov. I was a Red Army private in 1943. I was wounded near Stalingrad, shrapnel in my leg, infection began. Doctors said amputation. Then, doctor brought different thing, small bottle. Said Penicillin-G, Pfizer Inc., Brooklyn, NY, USA. That bottle saved my leg, saved my life. I marched to Berlin in 1944. I returned home in 1945. I married in 1947. 4 children were born, now 9 grandchildren, all because of your bottle, because of your factory, because of American workers whose names I'll never know. 42 years passed. I still want to thank you. You saved me, you saved my family, thank you very much. Ivan Volkov, Smolensk, USSR. What Volkov didn't know, 1,000 Soviet soldiers were saved that same week by the same American shipment. And this was just one convoy among thousands. Captain James Harrison commanded the merchant ship SS Nathaniel Greene, carrying 4,000 tons of medical supplies to Murmansk. 27 ships had departed Iceland. German U-boats and Luftwaffe bombers would sink 13 before journey's end. But Harrison's cargo was deemed so critical that Royal Navy provided unprecedented escort: 16 destroyers, 3 cruisers, 1 aircraft carrier. For what? The manifest revealed 400,000 units of whole blood plasma, 15 tons of sulfa drugs, 2,000 complete surgical kits, 50,000 vials of morphine. The most precious cargo, 100,000 doses of penicillin, worth more than gold by weight. When German intelligence decoded the manifest, they redirected 6 U-boats specifically to sink this vessel. The battle lasted 14 hours. Nathaniel Greene took 2 torpedo hits, lost propulsion, but stayed afloat. Soviet tugboats pulled her into Murmansk harbor. Within 48 hours, her cargo was distributed to 140 Soviet hospitals. Within 1 week, doctors reported saving 3,000 lives directly attributable to supplies from 1 ship. The cost: 2 Royal Navy destroyers sunk defending the convoy, 127 British sailors dead. But the Allies had learned keeping Soviet soldiers alive was as strategically vital as sending tanks, because live soldiers could fight again. And America had industrialized resurrection. Oberstarzt Colonel Friedrich Brandt submitted a report that would be classified for 40 years. His medical intelligence teams had examined captured Soviet field hospitals, and the findings were devastating, not militarily, but psychologically. American Lend-Lease medical supplies have transformed Soviet casualty survival rates. Penicillin availability: USSR now exceeds our own Wehrmacht supplies. Plasma reserves: Soviet frontline hospitals carry more than our rear area facilities. Surgical equipment quality: American instruments superior to German manufacture. The most alarming statistic: Soviet soldier survival rate after battlefield injury had increased from 42% in 1941 to 76% in late 1943. German survival rate had declined from 71% to 58% in same period, not because Soviet weapons improved, but because American medicine kept Soviet soldiers alive to fight again. Brandt's conclusion was buried in his report's final paragraph. We are losing the war not just through industrial production of weapons, but industrial production of survival. Americans have weaponized mercy. The mathematics of Lend-Lease medical aid between 1941 to 1945, America sent to Soviets medical supplies, 15,000 tons of drugs and medical equipment, 400,000 surgical sets, 1 million liters of blood plasma, 320,000 kilograms of sulfa drugs, penicillin, more than USSR's entire domestic production, 50,000 kilograms of morphine, 2,500,000 kilograms of bandages, and medical dressings, 77,000 surgical instrument sets. Comparison 1943. Soviet penicillin production, estimated 5,000 doses per month. American Lend-Lease penicillin, 100,000 doses per month. Ratio, 20:1. Survival statistics, 1941. Soviet wounded survival, 42%. 1943. Soviet wounded survival, 76%. Increase 81% improvement, mostly attributed to American medical supplies. German comparison, 1941. Wehrmacht wounded survival, 71%. 1943. Wehrmacht wounded survival, 58%. Decline, 18%. Markov documented every American shipment. His personal journal became an incredible document. November 23, 1943. First American medical crate arrived, contents like a dream, penicillin, plasma, morphine. Today, 5 soldiers who should have died from gangrene are alive. American penicillin. Miracle is real. December 15, 1943. Performed 47 surgeries with American surgical instruments. Never dulled. My Soviet scalpels require sharpening every 3 operations. These instruments stay sharp for 50. How do they do it? February 3, 1944. Today saved 23 lives with American blood plasma. Shock, blood loss, normally death sentence. With plasma, all alive. American blood bankers, people whose names I'll never know, saved Soviet soldiers. June 17, 1944. New American crate, portable X-ray unit. Portable, Soviet X-ray machines in city hospitals never move. Americans brought X-ray to front lines. Now we find shrapnel in 30 minutes, not 3 days. August 9, 1944. Treated 156 infections with American sulfanilamide drugs. All would have been fatal without. I keep statistics. Without American supplies, 40% of my patients would die. With American supplies, 8% die. Difference, 32%, equals American generosity. January 30, 1945. Approaching Berlin. Still using American supplies. For 3 years, never ran out. Every week, new shipment. Never stopped. How can they produce so much? Penicillin was the medical miracle of the 20th century. But the miracle came not from discovery, but from production. 1928, Alexander Fleming discovered bacteria-killing mold. 1939, Oxford University developed penicillin production, but scale was small. 1941, USA entered. War Production Board mobilized pharmaceutical companies. 1942, Pfizer developed deep tank fermentation method. Production increased 1,000-fold. 1943, American penicillin production. 20 billion units monthly, more than rest of world combined. 1944, production reached 100 billion units per month. And Americans gave away much of it. To Soviets, British, Chinese, free. Ivan Volkov was 67 years old, a retired carpenter. He had 4 children, 9 grandchildren, and none would exist if not for an American bottle in 1943. His letter to Pfizer Corporation: Dear Sir, Madam, my name is Ivan Volkov. In 1943, I was Red Army private, wounded near Stalingrad, shrapnel in leg. Infection started. Doctors said amputation. Then, doctor brought different thing, small bottle. Said Penicillin-G, Pfizer Inc., Brooklyn, NY, USA. That bottle saved my leg, saved my life. In 1944, I marched to Berlin. In 1945, I returned home. In 1947, I married. 4 children born, now 9 grandchildren. All because of your bottle, because of your factory, because of American workers whose names I'll never know. 42 years passed. I still want to thank you. You saved me, you saved my family. Thank you very much. Ivan Volkov, Smolensk, USSR. Pfizer responded to the letter. They invited Volkov to Brooklyn. In 1987, at age 69, he visited America for the first time. He saw the Pfizer factory. He shook hands with workers, and he wept. Oberstaatsanwalt's report was declassified in 1984. Its contents were shocking. January 1944. Summary. Enemy Medical Capacity Assessment. 1. American Lend-Lease has transformed Soviet medicine. 2. Penicillin availability. Soviet greater than Wehrmacht 3. Plasma reserves. Soviet frontline greater than German rear area 4. Surgical equipment. American greater than German production 5. Survival rate Soviet increasing, German declining. Conclusion. We are losing the medical attrition war. Soviet soldiers recover and return. Our soldiers die or remain disabled. Recommendation. Make American medical convoys priority targets, but success probability low. Convoys heavily protected, and American production appears infinite. The report was never implemented because German U-boats were already losing in 1944. The Atlantic was under American control. May 1945. War over. Markov sat in the basement, surrounded by 4 years of American crates. He wrote in his journal, "Victory. Germany defeated. Stalin won. Red Army triumphant, but I know the truth. In this basement, there is proof. 47,000 soldiers left my hospital alive. Without American supplies, maybe 20,000 would have survived. Difference, 27,000 lives. American penicillin, plasma, surgical instruments. Across all Soviet Union, how many hospitals? 5,000? If each saved 27,000 extra lives like mine, 135 million lives. Number may be exaggeration, but principle is real. America didn't just equip us with weapons, they equipped us with capacity for survival. I can never say this. In Stalin's USSR, praising American aid is dangerous. But here on paper, I write truth. We won the war, but without American mercy, maybe we would have lost, or won, but with much more blood. Thank you, America. Factory workers whose names I'll never know. Blood donors, engineers, truck drivers, they will never know me, but they saved 47,000 Soviet soldiers. Through my hands, but with their tools. This was the real second front, not Normandy. It was penicillin bottles from Brooklyn. The journal was published in 1991, after Soviet Union collapsed. Markov's daughter, Elena Markova, found the journal after her father died in 1978. She kept it hidden for 13 years, then published it. Title, Arsenal Milosrdia. The Arsenal of Mercy. Lend-Lease is one of history's least known victories because tanks, planes, ships aren't forgotten. But penicillin bottles? Forgotten. But the numbers are unforgettable. Total Lend-Lease medical aid, 1941 to 1945. 15,000 tons of drugs, 400,000 surgical sets, 1 million liters of plasma total value, $1.2 billion, 1945 equals $20 billion, 2024. Estimated lives saved, directly from penicillin, 500,000 plus Soviet soldiers, plasma transfusion, 300,000 plus surgical instruments, wash equipment, 1 million plus total, approximately 2 million Soviet soldiers alive who would have died. Comparison, Battle of Stalingrad, Soviet casualties, 1,100,000, estimated saved by American medicine, 2 million, meaning Lend-Lease medicine prevented 2 Stalingrads worth of losses. Ivan Volkov died in 1992, but his grandson Dmitry Volkov visited America in 1995. He went to Pfizer factory, Brooklyn. He showed the factory manager something, an old faded photograph. 1943, Stalingrad Hospital. A young soldier in hospital bed, leg bandaged, doctor standing behind, holding a small bottle. My grandfather, Dmitri explained. That bottle from your factory. Without that bottle, I wouldn't exist. The factory manager examined the photo closely. The label on the bottle was still readable. Penicillin-G, Pfizer Inc., Brooklyn, NY. You know, Dmitri said, my grandfather always said, Americans didn't win war with tanks, they won with medicine. The factory manager didn't respond, because it was true. But nobody knew this story. Until now. Lend-Lease medical aid is a paradox, because it keeps the enemy alive. Soviet soldiers healed with American penicillin, then killed German soldiers. Seems illogical. Why save the enemy? But America understood. Live allies greater than dead allies. Simple mathematics. If Soviet soldier dies, replacing him takes 6 months. Training, equipment, deployment. But if same soldier recovers, 2 weeks. Then back to front, and America industrialized healing. Penicillin factories, blood banks, surgical instrument production. All war effort, all strategic. German Oberstarz Brandt was right. America weaponized mercy, and that weapon was deadlier than tanks. Because tanks only kill, but mercy strengthens your enemy to fight on your side. And 2 million Soviet soldiers survived thanks to American medicine. Marched to Berlin. Defeated Germany. Dr. Markov wrote in his journal's final line, history will remember tanks, but I will remember penicillin bottles. Because tanks win battles, but medicine keeps people alive. And in war, surviving is more important than winning.